The deflection is another very important motive which we have to pay attention for and always keep an eye on. I believe that it is very relevant because every time when we're looking at deflection, we should be able to remember that there are certain pieces in front of the opponent's defense that need to be somewhere else, need to be deflected from their actual defending squares. Now, what is important when you're looking at the motive of deflection is which pieces really need to be deflected. For example, when we're looking at that actual position, we find out that white has quite some opportunities, but unfortunately, they aren't working. There could be a possibility for white to attack black's king with bishop takes c7, but then black will just take on this bishop. Then there is an opportunity for white to give a check, and then black is going to come back. White can exchange, black can recapture. There is an opportunity for a check, but black will escape. So literally, if there was a way for white to exploit the back rank without the ability for the black king to protect the defending rook to c8, everything would have been good. And here we come with the idea. Is there a possibility for us to deflect the given piece? So you see, the deflection is another pattern that we can keep in mind as a motive. How can we deflect the opponent's king from being able to support that rook? And then we come up with an actual idea. If the bishop takes e7, rook takes to c7, do you have any suggestions on how this king can get deflected from the c8 square? Think a little bit about it. Pause the video and come up with your own suggestion. Well, there is just one thing we need. The move of queen to e8 with the check. After this move is made, the black king has nowhere else to escape but to capture the queen. As soon as that happens, white follows with rook b8 check, rook c8, and then we find a checkmate on the spot. The black king gets mated, and nothing can really save him. It's a very interesting and clear example of a deflection, deflecting some of the opponent's pieces from being able to defend. Or by basically making a deflection, white also used the two motives which we have considered, attraction and deflection in the same time. With bishop takes d7, he attracted the rook to go on the c7, he attracted to go on the king to go at the e8, and he deflected it in the same time from the d8 square so that the checkmate can happen. That motive is one of the most important ones when we're looking at deflection. Now, in fact, we have another type of an example which is, in my opinion, pretty important. And, in fact, that is an example considering how to deflect an opponent's piece from being on a safe spot. It also involves the two principles of attraction and, in fact, deflection at the same time. The next position is, in my opinion, one of my most favorite examples because it practically involves these two concepts, these two principles working in one, and it's pretty important therefore. So that's the position. White is on a move right now, and what he wants to do is to make the deflection. The best way to do it is through rook takes to c6. The black king has to take that rook, and that helps white to practically deflect the black king from the queenside area in the center, and in fact force it, attract it to go towards white's own territory. Queen takes b5. I find it to be an amazing continuation. The king is being under a threat and the rook on e8 is hanging. The only availability for black is to capture the queen, but that's just the perfect moment for white to attack with bishop a4. Just to mention that if black doesn't take the queen, though that's crazy for somebody not to do this, in fact still, if black gets the king on the d8 after queen takes e8, white got the material advantage. We know that one of the most important things for a combination is not only to checkmate but also win material. That's a sufficient advantage to win the game. So black has to take the challenge and win the bishop, after which white follows with another deflecting move, attracting the black king to go at a4. So the deflection was made when white managed to deflect the black king from its defending zone. And the attraction is made with the pieces that white sacrificed in order to attract the black king into the zone where it can easily get mated. If the king comes up to c4, then white has the straightforward way to checkmate. How? Well, I guess it's not so difficult to do it. Can you find how white is up to checkmate black's king right now? Well, at first we can do b3 with a check, And then when the black king comes up to d3, we can do bishop b5 for the check. The king has to go back to e4, and now we find that in the white territory, it's really not a hard task for white to approach the king and mate him in the end. And that's why black has to take the third piece also, like a challenge. 3 sacrifices, starting with a rook, then a queen, and then a bishop, just in order to deflect the black king from his territory and attract it in our own zone. That follows with knight c3, and now I can follow with knight d2 with the checkmate. The king has no more squares to go, and we see the power of 2 motives in one: deflection and attraction. Beautiful examples.